We've got some fresh new young talent doing some things that I know you haven't heard before.
1, 2, 3, listen.
You got to have the why, and we know our why. So
you don't need to reinvent the wheel. Yeah. Millions and millions of people have done this already. You can get help, you can get a roadmap, you can save a lot of time, money, and frustration. Welcome to the Value Add Podcast with K and K.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the wonderful, the fabulous Value Add with K and K.
I think I need to do the intro from now on.
Yeah, can we Krystle?
What? That's our intro. This is our intro right now. We are live, people, and she just interrupted me. Do you know why?
Per usual.
Because we don't have a guest. We have no guest today. We are guest free. But we're going to talk about, Monty wanted us to talk about a couple things. So we went through, I think, like 4 or 5 topics, and Krystle and I picked. Or I picked.
You picked. I had no idea what we were talking about today.
She still doesn't know what we're talking about. Monty's
I'm just here.
We're talking about how to bleach your hair when you're blindfolded. Not really. So today we're going to talk about, I guess the easy thing is why would you work with somebody like Krystle or Kenny? So why would you get a commercial loan with Krystle, and why would you get a residential loan with me? And why would you possibly just not go direct to a bank? As simple as that sounds, we wouldn't be employable or have businesses if it was that simple for the average person. So Krystle, I'll let you kind of go first, and we can kind of talk. Obviously, you get this all the time. Like every other day, you get somebody to call you and go, "Hey, look, I was going to go direct to the bank, but I got referred to you. So why would I use you over going to bank X?"
Yeah, there's, a lot of reasons why you would. I mean, even for me, I know a lot of people don't do this either, but for example, why would you go to an insurance broker over going direct to the insurance company to get insurance? That's because your insurance broker knows every single insurance company out there, who's offering what, who's most competitive, all the little caveats. Because I was just laughing with one of my bankers who actually came to us for a loan as well, or came to me for a loan on his apartment building, and we were kind of laughing like, gosh, every lender has this thing or that thing, but nobody has the whole package together. There's like a little sacrifice here or there. It's like the best rate, but then the prepay is a little, onerous, or, maybe they don't offer interest only and that's what you need, or, nobody has that kind of full package. So for me, I talk to...
You're the full package.
I'm the full package.
Yeah, baby.
I can, we basically talk to all sorts of different sources.
How many sources probably? 20, 30?
It's interesting because we probably have like 100 different sources, depending on what you're looking for, or more.
That's a lot.
But then we do have those sources that we're using. Obviously, we kind of have our top lenders and sources that we use.
Top 10, 15?
I would say, 10 to 15, just depending if it's, we have our top private money sources, our top bank sources, our top agency sources. So it just kind of depends on what your situation is. And the other thing is a lot of people, don't know about loans. And just like you go to a doctor to get a diagnosis, you don't Google it and diagnose yourself.
Dr. WebMD over here.
Yes. You go to someone who specializes, I specialize in financing. If you want to come talk to me about, insurance or sports or something, I'm not your girl. But if you want to talk to me about financing, this is what I do day in and day out, all day, every day. This is what Mitch does all day, every day. So we know this like the back of our hand. So we know who's competitive. We know the way your package needs to be presented. And that's really important because it's funny. I was just given a package yesterday for a refi we're working on in Tucson, and the guy gave me his financials, and I know that if a bank had seen this, they're not going to look at it the way that I would look at it. This person's writing off travel expenses and their cell phone, and they're writing off miscellaneous expenses. I don't even know what that was, but it was a big number. So that's when we call them. We go through, what is this? What is that? Hey, your repairs and maintenance look high. What was included here? Oh, sorry, I included, repaving the asphalt. Okay, well, that's a one-time expense. I don't need to include that. Great, we can back that out. On the other hand, if somebody's portraying their expenses to be too low, lenders have certain, thresholds that they require. If they took back the property, what would it cost them to operate at?
So
I know those
basically,
things.
jumping in here, what you're saying is if I'm a borrower or your client and I have an apartment building, and no matter what, I go to Bank X, I send them all my information, they look at it, and they basically go like, hey, you write a lot of stuff off here, even though it might be BS, because you're just playing the tax game, right?
Right.
Which you can when you're self-employed. It's one of the benefits. The presentation was not pretty. There was no presentation. You just threw. Basically, it's like throwing shit against the wall and hopefully it works.
Yeah, I mean, as another example, he sent me the 2019 P&L, and it says January 1 through April 19th. And I look at it and I go, well, that's weird, because it's like maybe 2 months of collections, not 4 months. So when I call him, oh, yeah, my bookkeeper is going to come in and add March and April from the property manager. She hasn't come in yet. So these are the kinds of things that cause a slowdown, and they cause confusion for a lender, and lenders are used to kind of processing these things quickly. It's kind of like giving your information to an underwriter and being like, it's a mess, here, figure it out. That's not the way that you present
as
your
we say
package.
in our business, garbage in,
garbage out.
So what we mean is, if your presentation is garbage, what do you think you're going to get back? The underwriter is going to push it back and say, I'm not interested in reviewing this. So if you want me to give you an answer, it's going to be no, because this is just a concoction of garbage, because there was no thought, there was no presentation, and what am I looking at here? So
right, or you're going to get you're going to get an outcome that you don't like. So if you're not organized in your presentation, you're not going to get what you want. So when we get a package or I get information, I have already talked to the client about what they want, what they're looking for. And now I'm looking at their information from that mindset of, can we even achieve what they're looking for? If we can't achieve what they're looking for, I'm looking at what are the reasons and what are the possible ways to get there. Is there an easy way that we can get there? Hey, maybe your rents are a little bit low and you can give out some 30-day rent increases that are pretty minimal, and we can qualify. So by the time you close, those rents are in place and you can get to the loan amount that you need.
So basically, with you, what you're saying is, if somebody comes to you, the first thing you're doing is putting their package completely together, understand globally what's going on with them, and then obviously setting at the expectation of a presentation that you're going to go to the bank with. Once you figure that out, then you're going to back that in and go, okay, based on this is a purchase, this is a refi, this is a cash out, you've got a little bit of hair here, there's a problem here, there's a problem with your credit, whatever it is, this is the best banks to go to. Because a lot of people just go to the same bank over and over again. That's when you get a call.
Well, it's more like these are the lenders that are going to fit for your scenario.
Exactly.
It may be what you're looking for. It may not. But at least you know the reality, and you know it from someone who's done so many of these transactions. I mean, we know what we're doing. I mean, we've funded over $1 billion. I probably should retally this because I've been saying it for a year now. But so we funded over $1 billion in transactions. I know what people are looking for, and we've worked with everybody from that really seasoned, experienced real estate investor to that first-time apartment buyer and everything in between. And for example, I mean, we're doing a purchase right now that miraculously it qualifies for 75% loan to value.
in San Diego.
They were shocked that they could get it. The broker was shocked that they were able to get it.
The lender pushed back.
The lender pushed back and said, hey, these guys don't really have enough experience. I think we're gonna only do 70%. And I'm like, no, here's all the bullet points of why this deal makes sense. And I get that it's weird that we can get to 75% loan to value, but they shouldn't, it's odd, but it works.
You're gonna get there.
And it makes sense. So we got our LOI at 75% loan to value.
So let me ask you this question. So sometimes you have clients who are experienced, and sometimes they'll just keep going to the same bank because they know how to present their package. They're really strong, and they just keep boom, boom, boom. But all of a sudden, they just go to that bank one day and they go, hey, Krystle, I'm going to my normal bank. And they said, we can't achieve the loan amount you want. And that's a lot of times when you deal with the big guys, that's where you come in. Or they're like, hey, Krystle, I know I own all these apartments, but I actually need to do something a little different. I'm going to go build an apartment building, and my bank is like, we don't do that. So that's where a lot of times if somebody's like, somebody might be listening that's the first time, like you do deal with experienced buyers, and yeah, maybe down the road when you become more experienced, you have a bank you just keep going to, and they're going to be like, I don't need you anymore. But you're here because sometimes they do need you, or sometimes that bank they're going to, they think like, oh, I'm going to go back to this bank. You're like, yeah, that's great, but there's 3 other banks that have way better terms. And even with my fee and everything that I'm going to present you as the broker, I still can beat their terms. Isn't that correct?
Yes. So there's some times where maybe I can meet their terms. There's some times where maybe I beat their terms. We obviously are compensated. So sometimes maybe you're paying me a fee to get similar terms or not. I mean, it just depends. But this is, when I look at this, is you have to look at this as any other business. If you're over here trying to like step over pennies to make dollars, then that's not necessarily the right business mindset. So absolutely, some clients go direct and that's the best deal for them. Maybe they have this slam dunk easy deal. It's not, something that they really need help with. I get it. I'm not for everybody, perhaps. But that being said, is also you have to look at it on the flip side. If you want to be a real estate investor and you want to have this as a business, then your time is best spent doing what you do best and hiring experts in their field. So this is the thing. People want to know everything about everything, and that's just impossible. So if you're coming at it from that standpoint, you're going to be very frustrated. You're going to make a lot of mistakes, and you're probably going to cost yourself a lot more money than if you had hired an expert to do the things that you don't know how to do. You don't do your own taxes for a reason. Why? Because CPAs know the tax laws. You pay them to do it. I guess you could probably go do your own taxes, but you're probably going to make some mistakes and cost yourself some money in the long run. Probably best to go ahead and pay a CPA for that. So you hire an insurance agent to save you money. And if you haven't, I've seen plenty of people that go straight to Farmers or State Farm or these places and pay thousands of dollars extra a year for their insurance. Tons. We've saved so many clients money just referring them to our insurance person. That saves them a ton of money. So again, you thought you were doing good by going direct. Maybe you think these brokers, they make commissions and I can save. No, not always the case. In fact, probably a lot of times it's not the case. So I'm just another.
Then there's management. You might not do your own management.
Expert that you can have in your arsenal for when it comes to financing. So you get out there, you find the deals, you make the relationships with the brokers, you do all of those things. That's your job. So I don't know. Do you want to go shop 10 different lenders? Do you want to be sure that you're getting the best rates and terms? Do you want to make sure that your package is packaged properly so that way you have the best chance of having a smooth transaction? And more importantly, if and when issues do come up in your financing, because inevitably they do, not every transaction, but they do you want to have an expert that knows how to navigate you through that issue?
And because a couple things I'm going to say is what I know is some people refinance and they do one deal every 3 years or every 5 years.
Right.
And that's your relationship with the bank. Krystle's doing maybe one deal every month with them, maybe 2. So who do you think has a better relationship? There is. So the other thing is I'm going to say this and I'm going to give everybody a secret. And nobody's going to tell you this, but we're going to tell you today. You can go ask a banker and say, be honest. Would you rather a deal come from a borrower or a broker? And what are they going to say, Krystle?
Most of the time it's a broker.
And why?
Because we do all the work. I mean, we package the deal. We know exactly the way they want to see it. We know exactly the way their underwriters are going to look at it.
You make their life easy. So this is what, when you come in, they have to do this. They get paid the same regardless.
But I also make the borrower's life easy. So everybody's getting it easier because we fill out all the forms. We know exactly the way that the deal needs to be presented. We know the language. So, I mean,
and the pushback.
Real estate brokers have language and lenders have language. So we're all in real estate and we all have our own special language, some of it which you may or may not know, but underwriters have their own language.
Yep.
So we speak their language.
Chief credit officers.
We know what they're looking for. We know what kind of politics our bankers deal with their bank, and we know how to navigate through that as best as possible. Some people are easier to work through. Some people are more difficult. We know where the pain points are, and we definitely think about that when we're placing loans. Sometimes I might come to you and say, hey, I have this really amazing rate for you. It's great, but this lender, it's kind of difficult to work with. They're kind of, stringent on things. So if you want to go through this process, know it's going to be a little bit more difficult, but I'm going to get you the best rate. This rate over here is a little higher, but they're really, so easy to work with, great with exceptions, things like that. What do you want to do?
And the other one, another little tip is if you have a really clean deal, it's a really good low LTV. The other thing that Krystle and Mitch do is they basically, unfortunately, is they'll present it to the 5 top banks that have the pricing, and they'll negotiate them all with each other, and they'll negotiate you down a rate that's probably better than you just going to the one, because they all want the deal. It's cookie cutter. They're like, oh, we're going to do the work.
Yep.
Their chief credit officer's like, oh, we want these in our pipeline. And that's where they give, hey, let's give rate exceptions. And you know what? If you don't know where to go, you won't get them. But if you know where to go, you'll get them. So to recap, basically, using somebody like you is hiring an expert, making sure you really understand what exactly you're trying to do in the loan process. Like, what's the transaction? Is it purchase, rate and term, refi, cash out refi, maybe a construction loan? Also is make sure that package and presentation is perfect. And then also making sure you're going to not just the correct lender, the best lender for overall. Remember, you're talking the best term, the best prepay, maybe the best fees. And there's a lot of different things. And then
also there's other things though, like the appraiser. What appraiser are you going to get? Some of these lenders have these
They don't
appraisers that are, so we know kind of which lenders are using who and the most. And, an appraiser, especially right now
make or break a deal.
Lenders are kind of starting to feel like maybe there's a shift in the market. It's like we're not seeing it, but they're like, wow, it's been great for a while. So they're getting a little bit more conservative here and there. Appraisers are doing the same. So it's like you want to get that appraiser that's not going to nitpick every little thing. We were just laughing about this, Mitch and I, the other day. A client said, oh, there's some potholes in my parking lot. Is the appraiser gonna, comment on that? And we're like, no, this appraiser's not the guy who's gonna go out there and notate all this stuff, because if it's notated in the appraisal, you better believe the lender's gonna have to do something about it. They're gonna have to say, we're gonna do a holdback, or you have to do this or that, or make those repairs. And you don't really want that kind of an appraiser. So we've got people who, like, we know who's doing what. And that's another thing. We attend the majority of our appraisals. Mitch or I are there. So we look at the property. We sometimes drive the property. If I know that the property's not in great shape, I drive the property, and it's like, you know what? You should do
XYZ.
This handful of things, because if they see these things, they're going to start nitpicking everything. And that is not what you want on a loan situation. So we've had it where clients listen to us and things go through smoothly. We had a client who came to us most recently, you know who it is, that we started the loan. We told him to do these things because his property wasn't looking so good. He didn't do them. The appraiser came out. It became a problem on the loan. We said, we kind of told you this was going to be an issue.
Do more stuff.
So he canceled the loan and then came back to us 2 months later and said, well, I really need that money. So I'm going to go ahead and do all this work now, and I'm ready to move forward.
But if he had done the work up front, it would have been less than what they required.
We told him to do it up front. He said, yes, yes, yes. We got out there with the appraisal. The work wasn't done. So now the second time around, he actually did the work. The appraiser went out there. Everything went through smoothly. We had no problems. So that's what we do.
What they're getting with you is somebody that's been doing this 16 years, funded $1 billion of loans, has bought and sold a lot of your own property, has managed at one point yet 1,000 units, has done a lot of unit turns, rehabs, dealt with so many different lenders, appraisers, underwriters, chief credit officers. You know the guidelines, you know the ins and outs, you know the lingo, all this. You're getting like a well-oiled machine, and literally people sometimes bitch and complain like, oh, I got to pay this fee. But in the long run, that fee, you're getting all this experience. It's just like how it goes. You pay for what you get, just like with an attorney, just like with a CPA, just like anything else. Like if you're looking to buy real estate and you're looking to cut corners, at the end of the day, you actually might be the one that's going to get hit.
Correct.
With any of these people. Insurance, CPA, real estate attorneys, having the right lender, the right rehab guy, the right property management, all this stuff. It all goes hand in hand. If you want to go half-ass and cheap it, then expect half-ass cheap results. If you look at the guys that have big portfolios that are doing it right, they have they are surrounded by an amazing team. That's why they're able to do it.
Absolutely. And that's the thing, because there is going to come a time where you run into something that is unknown. And if you haven't built that team of people, that team of experts in the various like fields that you're going to run into and need for your real estate business, you're going to be scrambling. And there is nothing worse than coming into an issue and scrambling to figure it out. And then you're calling people that you've never dealt with, never worked with before, with your, critical issue. And you have to kind of trust them for their expertise. And not only that, I mean, just people charge, it's funny because growing up, my parents owned a plumbing company. So it's like whenever we had slab leaks, it was like, cha-ching, we got a slab leak. It's because you knew you could charge because that person was in a situation.
A bind.
They have to get it fixed. Middle of the night, after
Water
hours.
bills going up.
Everything. Yeah, it's an emergency. So when you're in an emergency situation, you need to have that team of professionals like on hand that you've already built that relationship with, that you can come to, rather than scrambling at the last minute, going to somebody you don't know and having to pay an arm and a leg for it or a premium for it because you didn't build that relationship ahead of time.
Yeah. And I'm going to leave this with, this goes with both of ours, but it's not just about when you're hiring or you're working with somebody like us. If you really think it's just about your loan, then you just don't understand what the value we bring. I mean, there was a client recently that was having issues with a family member. They had to split up, sell the building. There was a fight. We referred him an attorney to help out. The other thing is he was going to, because he's so frustrated and such disarray and stressed out. You know who I'm talking about? He was literally going to sell his apartment building, take the capital gain, and I'm done. And I said, no, you're not. You're going to go find a building, buy it, exchange it. Why are you going to pay all that money? Because he was so frustrated and burnt out and pissed off, and he thought that was the solution.
Well, and you're in a pressure situation.
Now we're going next Tuesday or whatever to view his property, and we saw him in the parking lot, and he was just saying, my gosh, I was about ready to make all these stupid mistakes.
Yeah, we ran into him at escrow. He had just signed his paperwork.
All these stupid mistakes, but he realized that you're coming from us. We're not emotional. We're not in the fan fight. We're going to tell you, wait a second. Whoa, wait a second here. We deal with this all day. You don't think we deal with families getting divorced, our deaths, our arguments, it's always that. It's when somebody dies, it's like, here's the portfolio and here we go. Everybody wants the money. So there's strategies that we can help you with. We have a team around us too that we can bring in to help you as well. So if you just think we're here to help your mortgage, I promise you, once you dive in with us, it's going to be like, we can save you insurance. Maybe you need a better CPA. Maybe you need a real estate attorney. Maybe you need a better property management. Maybe you need a handyman. Maybe you need whatever it is. That's what we're here to do. So that's the commercial. That's kind of like why you'd use a commercial broker. Do you always have to use a commercial broker? No. Could you use a commercial broker? Yes. Could you go direct? Absolutely. And I think we kind of went through the benefits of going direct or not. And going direct, sometimes you could just save money. And that's the same as my business is. Why are you going to hire somebody like Kenny?
The one thing that people ask me all the time, I just got asked this question this week, is, Krystle, you're a licensed real estate broker. Why don't you sell your own properties? And I said, well, that's great. I probably could have saved myself. Like, believe me, we just paid, $120,000 in commissions to sell our 2 properties. So maybe let's just say
property you're going to sell.
Let's just say safely that we didn't represent both sides. I could have probably saved $60,000. So great, right? $60,000. That's not chump change, but that's also really small thinking. Why did we sell our properties with a broker?
Yeah, broker's another professional.
Because those are relationships. Those are people who are pounding the phones every day talking to sellers. We're buyers of property too. I'm not just a seller.
They have relationships that we don't have.
They have relationships. They've built them for years. I mean, we were just talking to another broker that finally closed a deal with a seller he's been talking to for 10 years. I'm not going to spend 10 years talking to one seller that may possibly sell their building to me. I'm talking to a broker who's talking to hundreds of owners, probably thousands on a yearly basis, cultivating relationships. So it would be really short-sighted for me to think that I'm going to sell my property, take my commission because I'm saving $60,000 and that's a lot of money, I'm in a 1031 exchange. We're in a tight market right now. I'm not going to get a deal.
We have a job too.
I'm not going to get a deal if I'm that broker that's selling my own properties. I pay people to sell my properties, and it's worth every penny. So this is exactly what I'm talking about with a mortgage broker. Maybe you do go direct. I don't know. Maybe that's the case. For me, do I manage my own properties? Do I pay, we pay Mitch in our office to do our loans. Why? Because that's what you do. I pay a professional to put my package together. I put my trust in them.
Because we want to work and make money. We want to sit over here and do our loan. That's not making money.
I pay the professionals to do their job, and then I go do my job. And I make the money that I need to make so that I can keep investing. So for me, my time is very valuable, and I should be doing it. I should be spending time doing those things that make me the most amount of money. So if I want to think small and spend my extra time listing my property and selling my property and shopping my insurance around and shopping my lenders around, I can do that. But I'm not going to be able to do the podcast and buy properties and look at new properties and hang out with my family and travel and do the things that I want, do work on marketing, do all these things. I have to pick what I'm going to work on. And for me, I'd rather pay those brokers to sell my properties. Do you know how much money I've made off the brokers I've paid to find me properties? We've made millions of dollars. I've paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to them, but I've made millions of dollars. So this is the kind of thing that we need to think about when you're talking about saving money.
That's a good point about brokers, because brokers, commercial brokers, especially in real estate, those guys will make you rich. They really will. If you have the right relationships and you dive in deep and you're loyal, they will make you rich. And when you're a good buyer, I know we talked before, when you're a good buyer, and that's another thing, being a good buyer. The other thing is to wrap this up, is when you're buying a building and you have somebody like Krystle on your side, you have a coach. You have somebody that's going to be like, hey, we're going in. You're like, yeah, I wouldn't do that. Like, you have a good deal. I wouldn't go in and start asking for this and that. You're going to blow the deal. Like, I'm telling you right now, this is your first deal, your second or third deal. Well, this isn't my first or second or third rodeo. So there's so many things that you need to know when you're buying commercial real estate, because you want to have that image that you're a good buyer. Not
to mention that some of our clients come to us when they're looking at deals, and I'm like, we've been around, so we know most of the brokers here in San Diego, and I'll say like, oh yeah, I know that broker, and if I send you the financing quote and they say you're working with Krystle, I'll end up on the phone with the broker and go like, this is a really solid buyer, it's super easy to work with, they're really great, super qualified, no issues here. That makes them feel better to go back to their seller and say, oh, okay, I know the broker, she's known this client, she's worked with them for years, there's no problems with them getting the financing or them getting the deal. All that kind of stuff kind of plays into it. So if you don't think that relationships don't win you deals, you and I personally have won deals that we were looking to buy because
made a lot of money,
because the sellers knew us. Oh, Krystle and Kenny, they're good buyers. They're easy to work with.
Their seller's broker is saying, no, go with them, and cheerleading us on. Not our broker, their broker. We didn't have to do anything. I mean,
we had the property that we just closed on last week when we bought it, there was 25 offers, 25 other offers. We won the offer in large part due to us knowing the property manager for the seller.
Yep.
And they were also the broker. So relationships do matter in this business. They matter in every business. And that's also I know that I'm kind of going off the deep end here, but with clients that are now saying, oh, San Diego's so expensive, I'm starting to look and, I'm going to go buy in Texas, or I'm going to go buy in Arizona or New Mexico or these places. You have to be really careful, because you are an outsider coming in to someone else's territory. And it's like, oh, really? You want to buy a deal? Let me give you that shitty deal that I can't sell to my good clients because they know, but you're new, like you'll take this deal. So these are the kinds of things that you need to know in real estate and in all industries. Relationships really matter. Relationships are critical. And if you don't have those relationships, you got to be really careful about the information. You have to be educated. So you want to team up with somebody who's here to help you grow and build that relationship with you. Like Kenny mentioned, I'll tell you if it's not a good deal. I'm not here to make a commission. I think we do enough business. We've had enough success in our lives, and I'm looking at the long term. I'm looking at being here for a long time. So I want to help you build your portfolio. I'm not just here to make that quick buck and move on to the next guy. I'm not a transactional broker. I am a relationship broker. And I will help you find other relationship based people in whatever industry you need, whether it's your insurance person or your attorney or your real estate broker or those things. We're here to build relationships and do good business. You definitely, no matter who you work with or where you go, where you invest, need to make sure that you're cultivating those relationships, because if you don't, you can get in, it's a slippery slope.
Yeah. I would say my side of residential is a lot of what Krystle said, because we actually share a lot of clients. So I work with a lot of real estate investors that actually don't even really know anything about residential. So it's funny. They have $50 million of commercial loans, but when it comes to get a residential loan, they are literally a deer in headlights.
So let's talk about that though, Kenny, because you're kind of diving into the real estate investor who needs a residential loan. And what I tell people all the time is that I hate residential loans, and I see what you deal with on a daily basis, and I would never I don't know that you could pay me any amount of money to do that. It's just
$1 billion.
No, it's just a bunch of non-common sense bullshit that you deal with.
Because it's regulated.
So
because it's if it's
explain a little bit about the typical real estate investors. We can talk about those people who have maybe somebody who maybe even just owns 10 properties.
We can go quickly.
So if somebody owns 10 properties and they have 5 LLCs, how does that look for you on a real estate side?
For me, once again, like Krystle says, I get clients that call me and said, "Hey, I've got $1 million and with Wells Fargo." I walked in and I thought for sure they're just going to give me this loan, right? Because it's Wells Fargo, I have $1 million and
makes sense, right?
Yeah, it's easy. Of course, they're just going to bend over backwards. And I get a call that it's usually 3 weeks later, they couldn't get it done. And let's just say they're not saying nice things about anything. It doesn't matter if it's Wells, it could be any other big bank, because the person that you walked into behind the counter at Wells Fargo, no offense to whoever it is, they're new. They don't have 15 years of experience. They don't have all the kind of files, and they haven't gone through this whole process with, thousands of loans and done all these deals. So you're trying to talk to some guy that has been in, 6 months or a year saying, "Hey, I got 5 LLCs. I own 30 properties, this and that. I need you to get this one loan done." The guy's like, "How do I even?" And yeah, they look at your first page of your tax return and says, "Well, sir, it says negative $100,000 here. You don't make any money." "Yeah, I do." No, you don't.
Would it be fair to say that the big banks are used to, if you walk into a branch, they're used to just having that cookie cutter person that has a W-2 job, that has a 401k and kind of saves their money? This is the kind of person they're looking for, not necessarily that real estate investor that has a complex tax return.
Where you win at a bank is, I'm not even sure if it's a conventional loan and your cookie cutter you're going to win. Where you're really going to win at a bank.
They can underwrite that. They can understand that. Yeah.
Where you're really going to win at a bank is, in my opinion, is you're a doctor and you have $1 million with them, and you're cookie cutter, and you bought a $4 million house, and you want to put 20% down and get the best jumbo loan rate because you're all in with them. They better beat everybody. That's where you're going to win at a bank. Besides that scenario, I don't know if you're winning. If you're a first-time home buyer and the guy behind I hear this all the time, they didn't explain anything to me. So that's where you're winning. The guy that's all in, that's easy, cookie cutter, has one house or 2 houses, that's
slam dunk.
You probably will beat your bank should beat any other bank. If not, then you should move all your money and go to the second bank that's going to beat them. That's literally, they should. And Krystle, you would agree. If you're all in, you would better think they're going to give you the best damn rate out there.
Definitely.
That's where you're going to win at a bank. Everywhere else, I don't think you're winning. Why? Because everywhere else, customer service is going to matter. And if you don't have $1 million in and you're not this guy, you're not going to get the same customer service as the guy is, because you're dealing with a different branch. So you're dealing with a private bank, then you're dealing with a regular bank, and there's 2 different banks.
So what about all these? There's a lot of people now shopping online for loans, and there's a lot of those the companies, online companies, that seem to have ridiculous rates.
Yep.
So when would it make sense for somebody to go to them, and when does it not?
It's simple, to be honest. Do I have the lowest rates? No. On some stuff, could I? Possibly, because you might be that real estate investor, for example, that you go to that. If you're a real estate investor, go to that low online shop. Good luck. hold on. It's like grabbing onto a rope and somebody just took off on the dock and you're behind a boat going 60 because that's what's going to happen.
Well, I mean, basically,
those lenders are designed for cookie cutter W-2 slam dunk deals.
So basically, those online lenders are very similar to a bank.
Well,
that they're used to underwriting a certain type of loan, and they can do that like clockwork. It's just a machine. It just kind of goes as long as you're that cookie cutter person.
But here's the back end to it. The people that are working there are getting paid minimal.
That's why their rates are so cheap.
Yes. So the person that you're dealing with is getting paid very like government wages for what they're doing. It's pretty sad. Like I would never go. It's like, I hate to say it, it's almost like a sweatshop. That's why we laugh about it, but it is. So they're getting paid minimal. So as we always say, like a CPA says, if you get audited, it's the guy at the auditor is a D student and your CPA is an A student. Who's going to win? So I tell people, if you're the rate whore, I have to use that because if you're the rate, all you care about is the lowest rate, the cheapest rate. Just go online and find the cheapest rate and go ahead. If something happens in your transaction and there's this or that, good luck. If you're in a purchase and something happens, good luck. They need those cookie cutter slam dunk deals because everybody in the process, they're order takers.
Well, they do the same. No, their job, they do the same thing every day, all day long.
They want the cookie cutter stuff.
And so if something comes up that they're unfamiliar with, then you're the cog in the wheel. And what happens when you're the cog in the wheel? You get put to the side. You get no answers. You get a denial.
You just disrupted a machine. You basically, like you said, the machine's going. All of a sudden, you're the kink in the wheel. Like, hey, you got to get that out. I don't know what to do with it, but get it out because we got another 100 deals coming in. So they're used to 90% of the deals are flow, and the 10% is like, these are a pain in the ass. We really want to deal with them.
And so, I mean, obviously we know that everything's kind of going in the way of technology, especially, I mean, commercial hasn't gone that route, but residential for sure. There's a lot of those online companies. Now they're doing things like verifying employment and deposits and all this like electronically. So they're kind of going towards that like e-mortgage.
We have that, yeah.
Where you can get that. But so what you're saying is that's really for that cookie cutter deal right now. Like
not necessarily. Like, so we're guaranteed rate. You go online, you fill out the application. Like, I need you to fill out the application online. Why? Because our company is built to fill out the online application because actually how our technology works, it puts you in the system. It gets the, then you can upload all your docs. It doesn't matter if even if you're like, I don't know my income, just fill it out. And don't put anything in there. Give me your tax returns. I'll put it in. It just sets us on the right tone. It gets you set up in our system, right?
Right.
So it's like it's getting set up. So where's somebody like me or any lender that's going to really help, just like you, is when you go to that online cookie cutter person, they're the little box. With us, we have over 50 lenders. So what do you think I can do? My box is a lot bigger. So something comes up, or you're self-employed, or you have over 10 finance properties, or you have 5 corporations, or you thought you can go full doc and you got to use bank statements, or you're jumbo investment, or you're this, or you're that. There's so many different scenarios, and in residential, it's a very wide range. So that's where we can help.
So basically, you can help out in any of those scenarios.
Yeah. The other thing is if you've
got FHA, you've got VA.
What about if you have a credit problem? The person that's behind at a bank or those, they can't advise you. They can't help you.
So what would you do if somebody has a credit issue? Let's say that they're really close to getting that better rate or hitting that credit score that they need. What do you do?
We're going to run a what if scenario. So I go in, I go into your credit report with our company. I click on this thing. It's called what if. So I said, what if Krystle invested? What if Krystle's at 700? She wants to get to 720 just to get the pricing's a quarter better, right? So it's gonna tell me if Krystle invests $1,000, $500, $5,000, whatever it is, we can get her credit up there. Then I take that and I send it back to you. And go, hey, could you pay down this credit card to this? Great. Then you're gonna send me that statement. We're gonna do a rapid rescore, which means you pay down the credit card from $5,000 to half to $2,500. You give me your statement right away, right, with your name, your account number that shows you owe $2,500. I then send that to the bureaus. It's called a rapid rescore. So we rapidly send it over there.
What does that mean?
So basically what we do is we take that paperwork that you gave me, and instead of waiting 30 days for it to get updated on your credit report or 60 days, I go get that done in 48 hours. So that 720 credit score that's usually would take 60 days to show up or 30, I can get it to show up in 48 hours. So that means while we're moving along in a refi or purchase transaction and you go, oh my gosh, I didn't know my credit went down. We're still moving along. When you pull your credit with a big bank, you're stuck.
It's done.
That's it. With us, nope. What I have is right when I fund your loan is what we will use. So if it's a 650 in the beginning, like I have somebody right now, it's going to go to 720. I'm using the 720. I'm not worried about it. I already know that what if scenario is really accurate if you follow it. So that's what if you have a collection on there and you're like, I don't know how to get this off. Well, I'm glad I can coach you through that. How many collections have I gotten off, Krystle, off people's credit?
So many.
Like not 10, not 20, probably over 100.
I'm just laughing at some of the conversations I've heard you have with some of these.
I help them with. I get on a
companies with the
three-way
collection.
because people don't know how to talk to people. It's once again, this all comes back to what you're talking about. Do you want to hire a professional or not? When you're in the middle of purchasing a home and it's probably your biggest asset, you're working, you have kids, right? You're living your life. You need a professional. I'm a professional. When it gets stressful, it's not stressful for me because I do this every day. It's stressful for you. Buying a home, just buying a home without a loan is stressful. Mm-hmm. Why? Let's see. I live somewhere, so I got to hire movers. Then I got to clean the place. Then I got to move into my other place. Then I might have to buy new furniture. Then I got to close on a loan.
Switching
then I
your
get insurance.
utilities and just all the things.
What is it?
Yeah.
Look at the list. Moving is one of the most stressful things. You're dealing with people that might be buying real estate 3-4 buildings a year, maybe one a year. They're not as stressed. It's a business.
Well, secondly, our financing is just a whole different.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is
Ball
you're
of
dealing with
wax.
people where it's
Yeah.
a business. This is emotional.
Right.
Even if you and I buy a primary residence, even though we're non-emotional, it's going to be more emotional because this is where we're going to live.
I was just laughing because I remember when we had a house and we got the loan, we do this every day for a living and it was stressful.
You know
You
why?
just don't know. Like, is something going to happen that we're not going to get approved? Because
not in
again,
control.
you're not thinking of it from a business mindset. You're thinking of it from an emotional place. That's your home. That's where you've already got your heart set on moving there. That's your thing. So you need this kind of, it's not like, that's how you feel emotionally. Like, I need this. And so you start thinking that way. So we even don't think as professionals, as business people, when we were buying our house.
Yeah, my Monty and I
yeah.
were doing videos yesterday, and we were talking about like getting pre-qualified, and it's so important. We're doing that with Tiffany too. Like, it's so important. Like, we're talking about military people that have to move from Virginia to here, and they have 4 months. It's like some of them literally come here, find a home. Like, I got to get pre-qualified. I'm already in escrow. You're in escrow. You haven't even sent your paperwork to somebody. I can deal with that stress, but can you? Some of them just cancel because it's sheer stress.
Well, the other thing
But
is
get
too is that
upfront.
you have to look at this. This is a competitive market. So you're competing with other people who had their shit together. So if you're that person that's coming, I mean, do agents even accept offers without pre-approvals?
Yeah.
I mean,
No. Well, here's the thing. Some lender can just write a pre-qual and say, here you go.
right.
But if you're a good selling agent, you'd say what? I need the pre-qual. Some ask for a credit report. Some ask for proof of funds. And some ask, oh, cool, I need to see the DU or LP, which is DU is decision underwriting or LP is loan processor. DU is Fannie Mae. LP is Freddie Mac. I want to see that you actually ran them through the system and have an approval.
Yeah, smart.
So guarantee rate goes beyond
Okay, so
that.
let's say that they don't even ask for that, but if you're competing, if you're in a multiple offer situation where a buyer presents that with their offer
Yeah.
versus you who has a letter, who do you think they're going to go with? Who are they going to be more serious about?
I mean, I know who I'd be.
I mean, this is basically like a resume.
Yeah. And the other thing is to go beyond that, guarantee rate, what I love about it is we have, here's a pre-qual, here's a pre-qual they ran to you, and here's an approval. So what a lot of people, because we're competitive, you want to close, let's say you're going to go buy a home in 90 days.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, I'm going to write offers that I want to close in 21 days or maybe less. And you go, Kenny, can you do that? Yeah. How can I be ready to go. So I cut the stress out of my life because you already know it's stressful. People think they're like, oh, it won't be that stressful. It's always stressful. It's always something, right? We always say that in residential, something's going to come up. It just comes up. It could be the house. It could be this, whatever it is, right? It always comes up in a transaction. So we do a thing where you can submit all your paperwork to me. I can go get it underwritten. And what do I need? I have a full approval. I need an appraisal. I need a purchase contract. I need title and escrow, and I need your insurance. And I'm ready to close. So imagine if you're in that position, Krystle, and all you need is those 5 things. And you're like, oh, I'll write a 21-day offer, and you submit it to the seller and go, oh, by the way, we're fully approved, underwriting approval. Here you go. I just need these 5 things. And then some guy comes, and I can close in 21 days. And if we really, really need to get aggressive, I can call my lender, and I'm sure he can get it done in 15 or 14 days if we really have to, because we have everything and we're ready to go. And then this guy over here goes, oh, we have a DU approval. That doesn't mean that you still have to go through the process.
That's huge, yeah. I mean, because also, too, you have to think about this when you're submitting your offer and you found this house that you really love. You're competing with other buyers that may have that scenario. Or maybe you're competing with somebody with an all-cash offer who doesn't need an appraisal and who doesn't need a loan contingency. So you basically, if you're not in the position to do that, what you're saying is you need to put your best foot forward and you could even have loan approval to submit. So that way, the only thing...
Well, just stop what you said. Loan contingency.
Yeah.
You already have an approval. So you're like, oh, loan contingency, cool.
No contingencies.
Or, you know what? Just to make sure, like, I want to check, we'll do that. We'll have it done in 3 days or 5 days. Usually it's 17 days. What we're trying to say is if people want to buy real estate, whether they're investing or buying a home, you want to be successful.
Right.
There's professionals like us out there all over, and this is why we make a living, and this is why we do what we do, because we've been doing this, and we can help you make sure you're successful. Make sure you're set up for success. And I would just encourage people to listen to what we tell you, because we do this every day, all day, and we will really, really help you. We want you to win. We want you to win so bad because we want you to have a great experience, because then we want you to go tell 5 people that how great we are, and then we get referrals. Because that's pretty much over the last 15 years have you and I built our business. And you and I get so many referrals from clients, from actual clients.
Yeah, I would say that's still most of my business is
It's
referral
not
based.
It's
We
not
do
even-
marketing, but most of
but
it
the
is
thing is I tell
referral-based.
people our referrals are from clients, not like as much as real estate, everything else. Like some people, it's all real estate, which is great. We get them from clients, because clients we've usually taken somebody out of a crazy position or helped somebody, or we've had some crazy scenarios, but that's turned into a lot of business for us. Mm-hmm. I just think of one referral we got is I sent a postcard out. I did a jumbo loan up in San Francisco. He refers to his friend down here getting a divorce. We paid off his wife $1 million, big apartment building. You know who I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. That one postcard, because I did a great job and helped him out. And what did I do? Why did I help him out? Because his credit was 100 points less. And I taught him how to remove something off his credit, get it up. He's able to pull cash out. He was hurting because his apartments in Arizona were way undervalued. Remember, there were 30-40% vacancy, and he's about ready to lose it, but we were able to get him some cash out of some buildings. I started with the house, redo his whole portfolio, turn his life around. His friend down here, and that $1.95 million loan turned into probably, I don't even know, $30 million of loans.
Yeah, absolutely.
That had nothing to do with marketing and Meacham, but at the end of the day, it dealt with. And the client that comes in hugs us now, which is amazing, because he doesn't care if somebody. It's because we've helped them through tough positions, and the trust and loyalty is there. And we haven't just guided him in loans; we've guided him in a lot of different things. A lot, like you're an advisor for him in many ways.
Absolutely. I mean, we advise him on everything that he does. So he doesn't sign a piece of paper without me reviewing it. So that's kind of where we're at. And that's kind of the power of what we offer for people, that they feel compelled to
We feel at this point in our lives,
and
Krystle and I have become more advisors. I think even Monty just being around us, like listening. It's funny when people go, what do you do? And I hate to say like, oh, I'm a loan officer, because honestly, I don't feel like a loan officer. I feel like if somebody, I want somebody to come with me with a major problem and I get to fix it. That excites me, because I know that it's such a crazy time for them and they're so stressed. And sometimes for me, I'm like, this is so easy to fix. It's like a counselor when you go in there, like Doug would say, he'd be like, I remember I asked him, I go, hey, what's this? He goes, oh, this is like the bread and butter. People come in, they're like, oh, we're having this problem, that problem. Okay, sit down. This is going to be fixed in 3 or 5 sessions. Because he knows it's like, oh, you guys aren't seeing eye to eye. I can fix this. For us, it's like most of the time, 90% of the time, it's that. There's a 10% we're like, wow, this is definitely going to be a tough one. We're going to earn our commission on this one, and we're going to really help the client. But that turns around and gives us a lot of business in return. Because sometimes it's not just the client. The real estate is like, wow, you got that done. How'd you get that done? It's
Well, and
somebody
like
else.
you said, I think with real estate, you usually have, they call the 3Ds. It's like death, divorce, and dissolution of a partnership. All 3 of those scenarios are emotional, stressful situations. So you can't always see what your options are. You're not in that kind of mindset to think clearly. So we help people through that. And that's really rewarding. I think that's one of my favorite things to do is help people where they don't think that it's possible. So
What's your, to wrap this up, what's your number one piece of advice you want to leave with somebody today of what you would, not even why they hire you, what if somebody's looking to refi or buy an apartment building and they're looking for a lender or something, or what they're looking for, what do you, as the one piece of advice you're going to tell them?
that's a good question, because everybody has kind of a different situation and scenario. I think my advice is even if you think that you have a lender that you're going to go directly to and that you have this deal, I would encourage you to reach out to someone like me and talk to me about the situation. It doesn't cost money to have kind of a phone consultation, if you want to call it that, but it doesn't hurt you and it doesn't cost you any money to talk to an expert about this to make sure that you're on the right path. When you're going to make a big financial decision, it's definitely smart to talk to multiple people to make sure that that is the best path for you, that you know all of your options, and that this is the best way to move forward.
I would say for anybody buying, residential, is don't wait till it's too late, meaning don't wait till you're in escrow. Like, if you know you're going to buy a house in the next 6 months, go meet and talk to a few lenders. Like, now. What are you waiting for? If there's a problem with your credit, it could take 60 days to clean it up, because you might have to go work and fight and argue with somebody to get it off your credit. If you're in escrow and your credit's down 100 points, you literally could get a shitty rate because you just didn't prepare. So I would say is be proactive about everything. Find your lender. Make sure you're the right insurance person. Make sure you know who your mover is going to be. Like, be proactive about everything, because the process is stressful enough. And when you wait till the very end, have to do all that at one time, and you have your job and your kids and and life and this and that, just be prepared, and try not to go on vacation in the middle of buying a home, because it's even more stressful. But thanks for listening. Hope you guys got some value out of that. And at the end of the day, we're just here to help in any way. So if you ever need questions and you are dealing with another lender or whatever, and you want a second opinion, just call us. It doesn't hurt. We're not going to be insulted if you go with somebody else, because like I said, sometimes it could just be a 10-minute conversation to make sure what you're getting is the right deal and the best deal for you.